I'd like to begin with showing how I actually sometimes look for props and then what I do. What I'm in right now is inside Monster Hunter Rise. Now as I go around, you actually see something pretty interesting here. Right here from Hinoa the Quest Maiden, you see these very interesting little things. The quest items. Now, if we go into the camera and zoom in properly, sometimes you gotta go a little back, move around. It's my dog. You can see that these are quest props, also nicely built out in various unique ways. As you can see, there are two types that are tied together nicely onto the actual podium itself, as well as some other cool little goodies here. But so this is part one of seeing how I do it. What you go is you look in, and I have to move my dog again. But you see, with this, you can actually get a decent picture. So I've already filled up my album on how this will work. But again, you can see it. You get some nice close-up stuff that you could then use to actually make a prop. And I'll show you this later as I've already taken some photos. Now, let's wire bug over into the actual hub itself. Now, if we look over here, we can see more of these quest items. Now, there's a good amount of stuff here. Now, I'd say that these are actually the other side. So this is the kind of stuff that I find rather useful. So see, you can move out, move in. And what you do, as you see what I'm doing here, is take the individual captures. So you can get the idea of what you'd need to do, stuff like that. Now this would be for the backs. But I also have some other ideas on designs for the backs. As you can see here, there's different kind of quests, some that look like the individual monsters and things of this nature. Just cool stuff. Now that's some of the beginning, because you also just look around. See what's going on. As you can see here, what she's working on. Turning some pages, stuff like that. But it's all different stuff that people would be looking at. Little props you could take a look. So just another little thing here. And why don't we check out what Master Hojo is. As you can see, he's got some nice little stuff too. So I will actually go around inside things here. See, he's doing a ledger. And it's something else to do it. Now I'm just using the Switch photos. But you see all this stuff here, these little signages, things like that. This is the kind of stuff I look for. Because these are a lot of fun to actually make. And you can always check to see there's other cool stuff here. Like with the Meowcenaries, there's different stuff that they do as things go on. Now let's look by for some of the stuff for the Dongo. So pretty much people are familiar with stuff, but here's something very interesting. See, you can get some things at the interiors of the Dongo menu. And if you're careful, and assuming your dog doesn't take over, you can get the fronts and the backs, but see, it will fade if you go a little in or a little out. But just like as cosplayers will obviously look for the little references, I do the same. Because I look for the individual props. Now, in the main Dongo menu section, we can see the same. We just have to make sure we're far enough away to get the individual photos. What we need. Ow. And this is where we would start. Individual items for the references. Just what we need. As you see, that one fades in and out a little bit. Here's some other various stuff, but it's all stuff that's easy enough to recreate based on how you'd be running around and checking stuff. You think of the little props here, or anything that you'd want to get.
Anything catch your fancy? This should be interesting. Take care.
You just go around, see what people have. And that's what I start with first. Just going around, looking at props and cool stuff to make. This could be anything from interfaces to the little stuff that you don't think about. And see, she's very happy with her doggo. She puts these nicely out, and again, I take the capture or stuff like that. Now, what I would usually do is take something like that and put it up to Twitter or just download it off my Switch. That's the main way of starting it for some of the prop references. So next up, we'll go into Photoshop and I'll show you what I do. Now I'll go through how I actually assemble this. As you can see, I start with the base here of one of the photos that I took originally. Now it's actually resized to the point that I could start to work with it. You see some of the individual characters here, so I'll take a look at what I've started to do with this. We have this, and then I wanted to do was I isolated it out. I isolated out the other same one, and of course made it a little bigger. Did a couple things with it. You know, all the stuff that's important. Now, obviously I took the guild symbol that already exists online. That's the red here for people who know Monster Hunter. Put that here. And I started to work what would actually be needed here. The trick is, I actually print these out. So, I looked to make a useful color that was similar, use the eyedropper tool. I started to isolate this out and begin to build. Now, I'll get back to the guild symbols later. So, I actually did some stuff to draw these in place. Now, this was actually hand-drawn. As you can see with some of the things here, and then some of the more fill-ins that I've done after. I've also made an outline of the rectangles of each. And then as I've gone through, I removed the background. Here, remove this, fill in, add the guild symbols, add the other ones I worked on, and here we have the base to start off with. Anything else for in the tops or whatever are other things that can be filled in to make the props look even better. So and then a lot of this is basically putting the Photoshop in the right order. It's a small little order for how I do stuff, but it actually is pretty simple and ends up pretty cool. Then, of course, for the actual outlines, I simply remove the rectangles for the printing. Now, you might think I would leave this on, but I don't. What I do is I actually use a similarly colored paper, so I have it basically print white on a tan kind of paper, and it ends up looking pretty good. So that's some of the quick methods for how I do this.